Arfield. 1-0 Burnley. Scott Arfield. He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. Here's Rory now. On the outside. Decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Boxing quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper!
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
On it by Paul Fantella. Off for a hat-trick.
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day!
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Comes up a shot.
Oh, the goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class!
Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarence deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest instalment of the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redmond, ahead of a mammoth match at Molineux. Yes, I have worked on that one and that will be the title of the podcast and the YouTube show as Burnley take on Wolverhampton Wanderers on Sunday, 2 p.m. I think it's 2 p.m. If it's not 2 p.m. and you get to Molineux for 2 p.m. and it's late, I do apologise. I've said a million times I should probably check this before I start the show. But as always, when Burnley do well, one of the best things about being in the Prem, Dave, is I get to see you. It's great to see you back on the channel, mate. So it's Dave from Talking Wolves. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. Yeah, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Let's stick the knife in straight away then, shall we? What's going on at Wolverhampton Wanderers? Obviously, bottom of the table, no win all season in the Premier League, through to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup, to be fair. But no win all season in the Premier League. Pereira under big pressure on Wolves for this game at the weekend. So what's going on, mate? Why have you been so poor?
It's been an absolute mess, to be honest. It's hard to put my finger on exactly what's going on. And we've changed formation. Obviously, we had a lot of players we lost in the summer. And I always try to look past that. I mean, obviously this summer we lost Cunha, Aït-Nouri, and Semedo is one that goes under the radar a little bit, but he was our captain last season. Transfers came in a little bit too late, I think. We lost those 3 players at the start of the window. Cunha and Aït-Nouri went early and Semedo left on a free. And we're not bringing in the bulk of our squad towards deadline day. So, you lose pre-season, you lose the sort of first 2 or 3 games of the season straight away. But yeah, I mean, we was playing with the back 5. It was really poor. Switched to a back 4 and things improved slightly. But played Spurs, got a 1-1 draw, conceded a 93rd minute equaliser, which was frustrating. Played Brighton. It was the poorest I've seen Brighton at Molineux for many years. 1-0 up there and then just parked 11 men behind the bus and it cost us. And then our most recent result was against Sunderland, which was just a really, really poor performance. So getting Sunderland allowed us to have a lot of the ball, but we're just offering absolutely nothing going forward at the moment. I don't know if you saw the alternative Premier League table that the Athletic put out yesterday or the day before. In regards to big chance conversion.
I saw that one.
Wolves are top because we've only created 5 big chances in 8 games so far this season. I think Burnley was second as well.
I'm going to say, let's not criticise that table too much. With Burnley being second, we'll take that.
I mean, if you could have that in real life, it'd be nice. But yeah, I mean, it's been awful. But it's mainly going forward. I think defensively we've looked a little bit better. But going forward, just absolutely non-existent. Jurgen Strand Larsen obviously had his head turned a little bit in the summer, but struggling with fitness and injuries. Doesn't seem to be trusting many other players, and in hindsight, the recruitment's been awful. So, just so many little things sort of contributing to what has been an awful start to the season.
Are you expecting to get better then? Because you mentioned there's a lot of sort of like late business, so you've had a lot of incomings that haven't really settled into the squad. I'm putting words in your mouth there. You said obviously they came in late, so you've not had a chance for a pre-season. Are you expecting them to settle into the squad and then Wolves get better and pull away, or are you now starting to get a little bit anxious about the fact that this could be the year that Wolves finally drop?
I think
finally drop like I want you to drop, by the way.
Yeah,
I didn't mean it like that.
I know what you mean. No, it's a concern. I think this time last season, we hadn't won in 8 games as well. And, I think part of me thinks, we were able to pull away last year. Why can't we do it this year? But there's just so much more toxicity and negativity about, not just in the fan base, but just around the club in general now. And Vitor Pereira's got off to an awful start. And we look towards the back end of last season, he won 6 on the bounce, which was great. But then the last 4 games of last season, we didn't win either. So he's on a stretch of, I think he's picked up 3 points from a possible sort of 36 or something like that. If you stretch back a little bit to last season, we didn't win in pre-season at all either. So I think there is a concern. I think we've got quality to pull away at the moment. Is Vitor Pereira the right man to get the quality out of those players? I'm still not sure, but I don't know. They're just the players that I thought were a lot better than they aren't showing it enough this season. And like I said, going forward, I think we're really missing a real quality, talented winger who can get the ball and run. We just haven't got that at the moment, and we're just running out of ideas going forward.
Pereira, then, you mentioned in there, you said you don't think he's the man to take you forward. What's the thoughts amongst the fan base? Obviously, probably under quite a lot of pressure now, to be fair.
Yeah.
A lot of the fan base wanting him out, or a lot of the fan base kind of similar to you, just sort of like feeling a little bit of apathy towards him and maybe not sure he's the right man, but willing to give him probably a bit more time. I mean, I guess if you lose on the weekend, that could be the game that turns it for the majority of the fans.
We lose on Sunday, I think it'll be like everyone's going to be sort of Pereira, I think, pretty much. Because, and no disrespect to you or Sunderland or Leeds, if you go 9 games into a season, you don't win a single one, and you've lost all 3 of the teams coming up, I think that's obviously a major concern. My concern is that the club have given him a 3-year contract about 6 weeks ago, which just...
that was bizarre. So I remember when that happened at the time, I remember talking to a Wolves fan at work. I'm like, what's all that about? And apparently he did the same with Gary O'Neill and then sacked him.
Yeah, so the Gary O'Neill one was a little bit different because Gary O'Neill, that happened in the summer. And we gave him a 4-year deal. And to be fair to Gary O'Neill, under the circumstances, he came in, did a very good job, but the form and momentum petered off massively towards the end of his time. And then he got given a 4-year deal, and everyone's thinking, not sure that was the right decision. With Vitor Pereira, I don't know, sort of behind the scenes, if they're promising these things. So for me, if they've said to Vitor Pereira, right, if you keep us in the Premier League, we'll look at sort of a new contract once the summer window's done. The summer window's done, but we've lost the first 4 games of the season. And then you stretch it back to the season before where we lost the last 4 of that season. So you've got a manager there, 8 games who hasn't won a game, and then you're giving him a 3-year deal. So it doesn't really make much sense. But I think, a defeat on Sunday, and it will be nasty at Molineux, I think. And a lot of... probably, unfortunately, abuse hurled towards him, towards the board, who people really aren't getting on with at the moment. Deep down, I've got a feeling that he can turn something around. He proved that last season that he can get it going. But ultimately in football, when you don't have the momentum, you don't have the confidence of the players, things only seem to go one way, unfortunately. And it may well just take a different set of eyes on the team to start getting results, but it's certainly not looking good for him. And there's still a lot of fans, even 3 or 4 weeks ago, messaging me saying he's got to go. Yeah, well, come on, so it's a little bit early. And that now even fans are saying, well, if we win on Sunday, it's just papering over the cracks. So I don't think he can win either way, really. But I think I'm just hoping. I know it's an easy thing to say, 1 win, and it starts just give us a little bit of momentum and to push on.
Like I said to you on your show, we did have that effect on Newcastle a couple of seasons ago, 2-3 seasons ago. They hadn't won at this stage of the season. I think it was a little bit later. They got a win against Burnley at St James's Park, a comfortable win, and then they just took off. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen this weekend from a Burnley perspective. And also the fact that you mentioned there, like if you lose to Burnley, it could get quite toxic. We do have that effect sometimes on opposition fans.
At Molineux, do you remember at Molineux, we lost to you at the end? It's when we went down to League One and you beat us at Molineux, and all the fans, I don't know if you'll remember, all the fans ran on the pitch and ran in towards the dugout and stuff.
I do remember something there. We did the same to Southampton. This is going back
2013, maybe.
Yeah, it's around a similar sort of time. I think even a little bit later that we did it to Southampton. We did it to Southampton. We beat them on the last day of the season, and because we beat them on it was bizarre. Because we beat them on the last day of the season, it would have meant that they would have got relegated without a points deduction. So then the points deduction went over to the next year. So they started on -10 the year after. So then they were chucking coins at us and stuff like that. Do you remember Do you remember when the West Ham fans all stormed the pitch and went for Karen Brady and their owners?
Yeah.
That was because they lost 3-0 against Burnley. So we could see similar scenes at
Oh,
Molineux this weekend.
it might happen again on Sunday, to be fair.
yeah. You mentioned the Sunderland and Leeds games there, obviously last week. Excuse me, losing 2-0 against Sunderland and losing 3-1 at home against Leeds. A Leeds side that I thought were quite poor against Burnley on the weekend just gone. They had a lot of the ball, had a couple of chances, but ultimately couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And obviously that's what football's about. How did they go for you then Sunderland and the Leeds games? Were you unlucky to lose them both, or did you lose them both pretty comfortably?
Last week against Sunderland was frustrating because we started off that game really brightly, and then I think the first goal that they scored was just really frustrating how easy we allowed them to score. And then I think if you looked at the stats as a neutral, we had more possession, more shots, if you bothered, more passes and things like that. So as a neutral, you think flipping at Wolves were unlucky in this game. And we did have a lot of the ball, but like I've said to you a couple of times, that just going forward, we created absolutely nothing of note. Sunderland defended well, to be fair. And I think that's what's going to, keep them afloat this season. Being solid defensively. And then their second goal came right at the end on the counter-attack, and it was a deflection and went in. So that was frustrating, but Wolves didn't deserve to win that game. Definitely not. The Leeds game as well. I don't think Leeds were spectacular. I think Wolves were just really poor. We took the lead in that game. And then just a couple of mistakes. I think Calvert-Lewin scored a looping header, which I still look at, and I can't understand how Jose Sarr didn't do better with that. And it was just sort of a 20 minutes of just head loss, and it allowed Leeds to obviously get the win. I spoke to Leeds fans before the game. They said, "Oh, we're really struggling to score goals compared to the Championship season. We just can't score goals. We conceded 3 goals to them in the first half." Because I remember I put it on Twitter. I said, "How are we conceding goals to a team that doesn't score?" I got some serious bites on there from Leeds fans.
Classic Leeds fans.
Oh God, I can't stand Leeds just because of their social media presence.
Yeah,
it's
it.
Some of the YouTube channels and stuff just blow my mind. So that's a different conversation. But I don't think we deserve to get anything out of either of the games. Wolves are just really poor against Sunderland and Leeds. And then there were other games, Everton, who at the time I thought, we could give them a game exactly the same at Molineux. Really, really poor performance. The only time we'd sort of celebrate anything, you mentioned to me earlier in the Carabao Cup, beat West Ham and beat Everton. We've got Chelsea on Wednesday. So besides law, we lose on Sunday and somehow make it through to the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. But
well, to be fair, it's a bigger game, mate. Keep your eye on Wednesday. Rest some players on Sunday. Get through, get to the quarterfinals. It's a chance of silverware.
We'll go down and win the League Cup. No, look.
Yeah, you could do a Wigan. Obviously, that was FA Cup, but still, you could do a Wigan. I want to talk to you about your style of play and the concerns for you, because you have mentioned several times now there's been games where you have all the ball but don't create anything. You've said you've not got much going forward despite having all the ball. Again, not creating anything but quite decent at the back. When we beat Sunderland, we let them have the majority of the ball. They didn't create anywhere near enough because we're very solid defensively. We've got a good goalkeeper, good centre-backs and good full-backs as well. We are very good. And we've got a good defensive midfielder as well in Florentino. Leeds, again, they did create some chances that they probably should have scored from, but one of them came from our own mistake and one of them was a set piece. So again, Leeds, we sat back, let them have the ball. They just couldn't break us down. Is that a concern for you? Because you've mentioned it several times already that's Wolves' probably main weakness this season, having all the ball and not doing anything with it. Now you've said that, I am growing a little bit in confidence. I'm not going to change my prediction. I'm growing a little bit in confidence because I know that Scott Parker will just go there and be like, right, you can have the ball, break us down. And if you've struggled already this season with it, Scott will obviously be aware of it. So it must be a concern for you. Yeah,
no, it is a massive concern. I think with players like Cunha last season, even Aït-Nouri, I know Aït-Nouri was playing as a left wing back, but he could bring the ball forward. He could beat 3 or 4 men and just open up the spaces. And Cunha was the same. He could just pick up the ball and just let him do his thing. And sometimes it would end up in a goal. End up with a goal. At the moment, there's no one in that team that I would trust to do that. Jürgen Strand-Larsen is a good footballer, but if you're not going to give him the ball within 18 yards of the goal, he's not really going to do much with it. And we haven't got anybody that's sort of out wide or on the inside forward areas that are sort of becoming or showing that they can be a threat at the moment. I think the only hope for Wolves, but we did this against Leeds. I think you try and score early, and that means Burnley have got to come out and try and play against you, and then maybe that opens it up, and you can get more goals that way. But at the moment, just to score early is one thing. But again, we did it against Brighton and just put 11 men behind the ball because we were desperate for a win, and it cost us massively. So I'm a little bit concerned. The way that I don't think he still knows. I think there's players on the bench that deserve more game time. There's a guy who you may or may not have heard of called Marshall Manetzi that we have playing for us, and I like Manetzi. I think he's an okay asset to have in your squad. Physically, he's just a workhorse. From minute 1 to 90, he will not stop running. He must have a serious engine on him. But technically, as a footballer, he's not Premier League standard. So you've got a player in there that's a workhorse, which a lot of managers will like. But with that, you're leaving a much more talented footballer on the bench.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he could take a risk and take Manetzi out and bring on one of these more talented players that can just create a spark and create a chance out of nothing, because that's what Wolves haven't had enough of so far this season. So, and it'll be interesting to see with the shape as well on Sunday. Like I said, the last 3 or 4 games have been a back four. If this is a game to save Vitor Pereira's Wolves job and Wolves career, is he going to switch back to what worked well for him last season, which was a back 5, and switch back to the personnel that worked for him last season? But yeah, going forward, if Burnley do what you say they could do there, that it could be 1, a very boring game, but 2, a long afternoon for Wolves, I think.
Yeah, I'll take a boring 1-0 win right now, mate. I'll take a boring one, and then I'll enjoy going on the WWFC hashtag. I'm not going to lie. When Burnley win and win boring, it just riles people up so much, and it can be quite beautiful.
Yeah.
I think people get more rattled if we part of the bus win 1-0 than if we went there and tank you 4-0 playing superb football. Not sure what it is. Injuries and suspensions. Any main players that are missing?
Vitor Pereira might not be on the touchline, actually. He picked up a red card 2 games ago, and I don't think the hearing or the appeal was till this week.
That might be a benefit, that, mate.
Yeah, I know. So I don't think I've seen or heard anything on that, actually. I'll have a look into that. But he might be missing. No suspensions that I know of other than that. And then injuries, I don't think there's any major injuries as well. So he's got a pretty much full squad available to him, really. And yeah, I don't know. Part of me wishes there were a couple of players out so we could sort of have in his head what his best 11 is, because I don't think even he knows that, the amount of changes that we keep doing at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Obviously, we're recording this Friday morning. We haven't actually had our press conference yet, so I'm not sure where we stand with injuries and suspensions. Lyle Foster was missing last time out, but obviously got the win against Leeds. Lyle Foster hasn't had a great start to the season, so even if he is fit, I'm not sure if he comes straight back into the side or Fleming plays there again, because even though I thought Fleming didn't play particularly well on Sunday, a lot of people thought he did and was better than Lyle, including Glenn Little as well, obviously former Burnley player. If you haven't seen it already, we have announced Glenn Little as part of the Turfcast team, who will be doing a show every couple of weeks or every week or whatever he's free. So if you haven't seen that, go and watch it already. We'll get into predictions in a minute then, Dave, but you mentioned already, you've said like Pereira might be changing his system. He's gone to a back 4 this season, despite a back 5 working so well for him last season. What do you think he's going to do? I know it's difficult for you to predict that, but do you think he's going to set up with a back 4? I would look at it, and obviously this is with a Burnley hat on rather than a Wolves hat on. He's going to look at it and think this game is a must-win. I feel like a back 4, depending on how you play your back 5, if it's got attacking fullbacks and stuff, it might be different. But I feel like the back 4 helps teams play a little bit more, especially if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, things like that. So we started the season with a back 5. It wasn't great. We played a back 4 against Leeds. We just looked so much better. So much better. More organized as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. I feel like the back 4 will be more attacking, and you're probably going to need to come at us to beat us. It's a bizarre one, is this. Obviously, the back 5 worked better for him last season. The back 4 doesn't seem to be working this season. How do you think you're going to set up?
Yeah, because I think he started this season with the back 5 as well, and for whatever reason, it wasn't going well, and he switched to a back 4 against Everton in the Cup. We kept a clean sheet and played really well, and he's stuck with it ever since, and we've seen an improvement. I think he'll probably stick with the back 4. So basically, he'll set up sort of like a 4-2-1-3 sort of thing, or 4-3-2-1, depending on how you look at it. But like I said, in that midfield, it's not like a flat midfield 3, and then you've got Manetzi at the top of that midfield, who is not an attacking midfielder. It's a frustration, but then you've got Strand Larsen up front, who's not exactly been setting the world on fire at the moment. We've got another striker who we signed in the summer, Nigerian forward Tolu Arokodare, 6'6". You know, he could be a nuisance. We're not really seeing much of him, starting matches in a Wolves shirt yet. So I think they'll stick with Strand Larsen for now, to be fair. But players like Tolu need to be coming on games earlier because he's bringing them on for like the last 5-10 minutes of games. When you're chasing matches, it's just ineffective. There's no point. So I think he will stick with the back four. But it'll be interesting. He's stuck with the same back, sort of two centre-backs throughout the last 4 or 5 weeks. But there's defenders on the bench, one of them being his captain, Totti Gomez, who's not even got a kick for weeks, which makes no sense, and Emmanuel Agbadu, who was phenomenal last season. So if there's a game where the board have said, right, go and save your job, he might, like I said earlier, he might have to look back to those players that helped him out last season and give him an opportunity. But I would expect Wolves to have a back four, especially to start with on Sunday.
Any Burnley players that worry you, that you think could do some damage to Wolves?
I think that we had this conversation earlier. I think the midfield battle will be intriguing. I mean, a lot of Wolves fans would label João Gomez and Andre as our better players, but again, they haven't really been at the races too much this season. But the midfield battle, I mean, you got Ugachukwu, Florentino Luiz is a player that I've been aware of for a little while because of our Portuguese links and so on. So I think that midfield battle will be interesting, and even players like Kyle Walker. You know, I think. Yeah, can all laugh and joke about him and whatever, but he's a phenomenal footballer, and the trophies that he's won. I'm intrigued to see that. I think that's what Wolves lack, experience like that. And you look at our percentage of even homegrown or English players. We've got Sam Johnston in goal, who's started sort of 4 games for us. Other than that, we haven't got another English player in our team, and I know it's quite. Some people might think it's a stupid thing to say, but when you're in a battle, you've not got sort of people that are aware of how much the Premier League means and haven't got much Premier League experience. It can be a little bit of a concern. Whereas players like Kyle Walker and so on, I think are invaluable really to a team.
Well, that were our problem last time we were in the Premier League under Vincent Kompany. We didn't have anybody that could grab the situation by the bollocks and drag us through the match. Kyle Walker will do that. Martin Dubravka will do that. We've got experienced players in there now that will do that for us. Even Josh Cullen, he's played quite a few Premier League seasons now. He's our captain. He could do the same as well. So I don't know if you managed to see the game against Leeds last time out or seeing some highlights, but Kyle Walker was absolutely superb. He got the assist for the big Les goal. Still got it, mate. And he did a massive roaring run down the right-hand side for the second goal as well, that then created the space for Loom to run into and then ping it into the top bin. So he was superb. Weren't my man of the match, to be fair. It was big Les, but a lot of people gave it to Kyle. So, yeah, there was quite a few sort of like fun poked Burnley's way when we signed Kyle Walker. I've seen that it's become a meme now. Say if like something happens in 2025 that shouldn't be in its old, it's a picture of Kyle Walker, but no, it shouldn't be him anymore. He's doing very well. So that meme, I'd say, was outdated. I think it's proven a lot of people wrong. We'll get into the predictions then, mate. We'll get into the score predictions. In fact, before we do that, I know you've asked me this on your channel, so I know what your answer is going to be. But just for the benefits of the people watching on this channel, are Wolves fans seeing this as a must-win, despite it only being the 26th of October when we play?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a must-win for us. I mean, we lost to, like we know, we lost to Sunderland and Leeds. I think for the club, for the fans of Vitor Pereira, it's a must-win. I think if Vitor Pereira loses on Sunday and you've lost to the 3 teams that have come up, you're in serious trouble. But we need a win. We need a win just to kickstart our season, to be honest. I think if we lose on Sunday, I think every Wolves fan will pretty much be resigned to relegation. And I know it's a long way to go, but I think with how badly we've started this season, a lot of fans just can't see any way back. So I would say, yeah, it's a must-win for Wolves. We really need to win because of so many factors.
Predictions then, mate. Do you get that win?
I can see it being like a 0-0 draw, to be honest. I can.
Classic Scotty Parker. Here we go.
We had a game against you guys it may have been the year you went down the last time, and we had a game midweek against you. I think Adama Traore went on a mad run and hit the bar. And I think Wolves fans are like, oh yeah, we can get something out of this game. I think we drew 0-0 in that game. And I've just got a feeling it's going to be like like that. A couple of close shaves. I would love Wolves to nick it. My normal prediction is 2-1, but I can't see Wolves creating 2 clear-cut chances, let alone scoring 2 goals. So I think a 0-0 or it's going to be a goal either way, 1-0 either side. But I really hope that 1-0 is for Wolves.
Yeah, obviously just looking at our head-to-head now, since you mentioned that, because I don't remember that 0-0. There is a 0-0 here in 2021. That could be the one you're referring to.
Maybe it was.
But there was a 1-1 last time we're in the Premier League, but that was at the Turf.
1-1 at Turf Moor. I went to that game. Yeah, because Aït-Nouri
Yeah.
played it in that game for us.
And then we lost 1-0 at Molineux in 2023, and played in the League Cup last year as well. Obviously, lost that match. Completely forgot about that League Cup game. I'll be honest with you. So no, I think I understand where you're coming from. I think for me, I'm going to predict 1-1. I'd take a draw right now. However, I haven't put the. I normally, in fact, I'll very quickly do it. One of the lads sends me this graphic every single week, and it tells. It's basically the Opta win probability. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've heard of it. I've not seen it for this game, no.
And it's been right every single game so far this season for Burnley, except the Nottingham Forest game, because it had Burnley down as like more likely to get beat. They've got you. I've just put it as a background instead, so I've messed up there. But I'll just quickly stick it in the right place. But they've got you as favourites to win this by some distance. 50% probability that Wolves are going to win, and only 26% a draw. So Burnley, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I thought you might be slight favourites with home advantage, but I'm.
You know what? I hope this hasn't done though. I hope this hasn't, like I mentioned earlier to you, the stats from the Sunderland game look like we absolutely battered them, and we really didn't.
Potentially.
So I hope it's not just taking those, but I mean, I hope. I mean, you say it's been right. I mean, what was the Forest game? A draw.
Forest game. That's the only reason why it wasn't right. Every time there's been a winner in one of our games, it's got it right.
We're back. Vito's at the wheel.
I'll remind you of this on Sunday, hopefully at 4 p.m. when we've won. But that, Burnley fans, obviously, I was surprised it was so high. I was surprised.
I'm surprised. I thought it'd be like 30%-ish, 40%.
Yeah, I thought
maybe a slight edge on Wolves, but
I thought you'd just edge it. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, I know you've got to go soon to get to work. So quickly before we wrap it up, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you and your content, mate?
Yeah, we're at Talking Walls everywhere on all the socials, and I did a match preview with Joe earlier on, which should be out on Friday evening as well. So if you want to check us out on YouTube, Talking Walls there. But yeah, thanks for having me, mate. Yeah, looking forward to the game. Fingers crossed we can finally get our first win anyway.
Yeah, well, I'll sign off the same way you signed off, mate. Good luck for the rest of the season, obviously after Sunday.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, mate.